Woman Jeka, for the greater respect, I would like to respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri Wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owner of the land on which Australia's northern suburb and Weddell Sea are located in, and pay our respect to the elders, past, present, and emergence. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kadek Medina, and I am from Bali, Indonesia. I am the 3-year-old kindergarten teacher at Victoria University Childcare Center. I have been working in the education sector for the past 7 years. I started out at 18 years old as an assistant teacher at Pelangi International School, Bali. Then I decided to move to Melbourne as my next step of progression as an educator for young children. Since then, I have been working within a variety of different age groups during my expertise of this sector, ranging from 0 to 5 years old. Where personally, my favorite age group to teach being from the 3 to 5 years old range. Here is a short clip about literacy in early childhood.
When we're looking at research at phonics in the kindergarten years, we look at it from, I guess, a more holistic approach. That is not phonics as a standalone. We look at it as phonics embedded through a whole literacy program, because to learn literacy, it's not just one skill that they have to develop. There's a whole range of literacy knowledge and skills that children need to have. Research in kindergarten, specifically in the area of literacy, tells us that children learn best through play-based interactions with other adults and other children. More specifically, the development of oral language, the development of phonemic awareness, which is the awareness of sounds, and shared interactions. And by early childhood, educators scaffolding children's conversations through shared turn-taking.
Okay, so if you're going to bring the robots over, you'll need to ask the controllers to read the signs. Do you know what the signs are saying?
Yes.
The signs are telling the people to stay behind the fence while the treasure is going up and down.
We use the guidelines, both the Early Years Learning Framework and the Queensland Kindergarten Learning Guidelines, to introduce letters and sounds, but again in a play-based way, or through what we call intentional teaching. In the kindergarten years, children are often motivated to explore and experiment with letters, but these are specifically letters in their own name. A lot of research says that in the kindergarten years, starting off and introducing letters and sounds around the child's name or their peer's name or their family's name is probably the best way to introduce phonics with children aged 3 to 5. I think it's really important that educators actually select materials to teach phonics that actually can be used in multiple ways. They don't have to be expensive. You can use things like magnetic alphabet letters, and you can actually use this in a variety of ways. You can actually include it into some of the other activities in the learning environments, into block corner. You can use it in a writing area. You can use it in a small group time or individually with children to explore letters and sounds in a play-based way. The one message that I think is really important for early childhood educators in the kindergarten year is that it is okay to teach about the alphabet. It is okay to talk about sounds. It is okay to talk about letters, but it needs to be really meaningful to the children.
Thank you, everybody. This short video of literacy and PNIC explains how important literacy is in early childhood. However, we need to always remember that these children should be treated like 3-year-old. They should not be expected to understand how to read or write at this age. However, we need to encourage them to explore and experience literacy through their best interest, which is through play-based experiences. Moreover, we encourage children to take ownership of and reflect on their learning through their own choices, as Machado said in 2015. Responding to children. Responsiveness to children Learning through play and exploration, children learn through intentional teaching. These practices closely link to element 1.2.2 under the national quality standards. Educators respond to children's ideas and play, and use intentional teaching to scaffold and extend children's learning. These practices meld together. When we're watching a highly effective teacher, we can see them move seamlessly from creating a play situation, choosing different ways to be involved with children and their ideas, and drawing out the potential learning in the situation through the challenges and provocations which develop the play further. If we see intentional teaching as something we do sometimes and other times, we just let children play. We miss many opportunities to respond to children's ideas and interests. In the same way, if we think that responsiveness to children involves just waiting for them to have an idea or question for us to respond to, we may be limiting children's experiences. In fact, we can be responsive and intentional at all the time. Children learn through play and exploration. 100 Languages from Loris Maligutsi explains that it's not the only tool, language is not the only tool that we can use to communicate our feelings and not the only way to connect with others. There are so many ways that we can use to express our ideas, sharing our thoughts and interests. At 3 years old, most children sharing their ideas and feeling with others through play-based experiences. Therefore, I believe that as an early childhood teacher, it is my job to facilitate and encourage the children to learn and support their learning development, especially in literacy, by providing children with a rich learning and meaningful environment where they can choose and explore activities of their own interests. As Machado in 2015 says, we encourage children to take ownership of and reflect on their learning. Children learn through intentional teaching. After a child or children have been observed by a teacher or educator, we will be able to understand what their current learning development level is at and what their interests are. After this, I would intentionally set up an experience to support and extend their interests, ideas, skills, strengths, and needs, and link them to the program and plan, which is created to help support children's learning development as a whole. For example, after a few meetings with the children during group times, I noticed that some children may lose their focus quite easily. Therefore, using this scenario, the way I would try to encourage the children not to lose focus during group time would be by implementing the 5 L's of listening to help the children interactivity and also to encourage children to show their best behavior during meetings or group times as part of the kinder program. Here is some information that we have to remember as a parent and educator. At the early reading development stage, children do not have to know how to read and write, but we need to help and support them to explore and build the foundation for learning to write and read. A note on early literacy. Always remember that I will not teach children in kindergarten to read and write. However, I would first help them develop an interest in being a writer and expressing ideas, such as drawing, map making, storytelling. And then the second one is help them to hold pencils with a strong grip. The third one is identify a purpose for writing and reading. In kinder, they'll learn literacy has a social function. For example, note taking in the office, doctor play, illustrating stories, and name labeling work. The fourth one is role model the process for writing and reading. The fifth one is help them to develop curiosity and enthusiasm for writing and viewing text. For the example, help them to make ABC wall, being given drawing tasks to help them feel capable and as though their written work really has meaning and importance. Next one is develop skills that help children to focus, concentrate, and switch on to learning, to be able to cope with formal reading and writing instruction. For example, can they sit at tables and follow tasks from beginning at the end? Develop their receptive and expressive skill as we read to help children use predicting techniques. This is helpful as they learn to decode meaning in the text when learning to read. And then the last one, when we practice all this skill, the children can then transition to a formal reading and writing instruction very smoothly. Simple activities to encourage children's language and literacy development. First is show and share. Research shows that children learn in different ways. So it seems essential that educators utilize a broad range of strategies, which should be chosen with reference to the needs and interests of the children's concerned. Oral language is widely recognized as the foundation for reading development, with strong research evidence showing that a child's expressive and receptive vocabularies and the ability to recall and comprehend sentences and stories are predicated of early literacy development. Diary of Wombi. That will be the second things that I would do in a kindergarten. A child will be given a bag filled with a wombat soft toy, a small diary, and a diary of wombat book. Then each week, children will get a turn to bring the bag home and fill them up with the activities that they done during the week with wombat and share them in front of the other children. Through this activity, children learn an appropriate play-based program, which is planned to meet their individual needs. Children participate in a variety of activities that reflect their interests and skills, extend their knowledge of themselves and other people in their lives, and help them to understand the environment. The program aims to facilitate children's social, emotional, intellectual, and physical development and is based on the children's interests and teachers' observations. Name recognition. As McGee cited in Defining Reading states that engaging in writing can also help children learn letter names. Therefore, by doing this activity, I believe that we have introduced simple literacy in a young age, simple and fun. The next one is, how will kindergarten benefit your child? Our kindergarten will help children to develop this social skill, build resilience, help them to boost their confidence and self-esteem, improve their independence, increase their self-awareness and respect, language, literacy, and numeracy skills, such as reading stories and numerically counting objects. And then the last one is children are involved in an environment that encourages them to, most importantly, have fun during their learning journey by participating in group activities with their peers, which can include drawing and creating things together to help with their cooperative, communicative, and listening skill as a whole. Thank you very much, everybody. Does anyone have a question? Thank you.